What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of college basketball action here on Tuesday, February 18th. We're going to break down almost every game on the slate. We're going to look at bets on the side and over-under. Make sure to check that pinned comment throughout the day to see if there are any changes as injury news and player availability is confirmed. Yesterday, guys, went pretty okay. We came up just a little bit short of the perfect day, but we'll take a 3-1 night anytime. We had Florida A&M minus 1.5. They come through with a pretty comfortable 9-point win there against Alcorn State. We had Nichols minus 8.5, and that one came through as well. Nichols ending up with, a pretty convincing, was that 16-point win there, so an easy cover there. And we also had Lamar plus 1.5. They come away with the 10-point win against Northwestern. So looking really good leading up to the last game of the night. We had Kansas State plus 2.5. Unfortunately, guys, they end up losing that game by 5 in a game that was very, very close down the stretch, very competitive. Really, Kansas State got homered pretty hard in that game. We saw a couple pretty questionable calls go against them, including a very, very bogus, a common foul that got needlessly upgraded to being, a flagrant 1 just based on the guy, rolling around on the floor and saying he got hit in the eye, and then he bounces up and he's fine. So the refs clearly had Utah on that one, but we'll take a 3-in-1 day, no problem there. If you want to win all of your bets, hit that like button. It's good luck. It shows support for the channel, and we're still working to get to 1,000 likes, guys. If we get to 1,000 likes, we're going to give away another hoodie. We're giving one away on the last video. I'll have the winner announced in tomorrow's video, so stay tuned for that. Come on back, and if you want to still get into that giveaway, get over on yesterday's video and leave a comment. That'll still give you a chance there, but we're really just very, very excited to be finally giving away a hoodie. Once we get to 1,000 likes, we cracked 900. Once we get to 1,000, we will give away another one. So thanks everybody that gets in there, hits that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 50,000 subscribers. Once we hit 50K subs, we are going to give away another hoodie. And guys, I didn't get a chance to do it today. I know having a newborn in the house makes things a little bit more complicated, a little bit more hectic, but I really do want to give away a hoodie to my channel members. So if you want to sign up for a channel membership, you just click that little join button right down below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all of my videos. You get your name up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate all of my big time super fans out there that are channel members. I'm going to be giving away a hoodie to you guys. I think there's only 60 or 70 of you, something like that total. So you've got a pretty good chance, a much better chance being in there, in terms of that hoodie giveaway. So we'll get cracking on that. We're going to try and make that happen very, very soon. Also, guys, all of our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering NBA, college basketball, UFC, and the NHL. Click the link in the description to head over there and check us out. If you aren't sure if a premium pick package is right for you right now, just try us out by signing up for our free email list. That'll give you updates on our results and free picks straight to your inbox. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today. We will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day. So let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got an interesting one, guys. We've got the Villanova Wildcats going on the road to take on the Creighton Huskies. Villanova comes into this game 15-11 on the season, so not cruising, but they've been playing well. They'd won 3 in a row, a massive win against St. John's, a 2-point thriller win there, but they followed up with a bad one, guys. A pretty bad loss there to go on the road and lose against Providence, and it wasn't even that close. They ended up losing that game, but it was 13 points, so yeah, not a very good showing. We've liked what we've seen from this team at times this season, but they are very, very dependent on Eric Dixon just playing out of his mind. The dude's averaging 23.2 points per game, but that shooting percentage is dropping. He's down to 46% from the field, and I don't know, this offense overall just pretty top heavy. They're only averaging 74.8 points per game, so that's not, like shooting the lights out. The rebounding numbers, not great. The defense, also not that amazing. So we'll see what they do here. This is the second time they faced UConn this season. The first time we saw Villanova come away with a 2-point win. Now they got to go on the road, so that could make things quite a bit more complicated. So we'll see what they can do here. I mean, UConn comes into this game 17-8 on the season. They're fresh off of a crazy, crazy upset loss. They ended up losing by only a single point there at Seton Hall. Yeah, it took overtime, but man, Isaiah Coleman putting up 23 points, and yeah, Scotty Middleton tipping in his own missed shot with 3 seconds left in overtime gives the Seton Hall Pirates the big upset win. So they'll definitely take that, but man, UConn, that is not a good look for a team that, had some aspirations. They were playing well, but yeah, that was a tough one. That was definitely a tough one. So they're in a huge bounce back spot here against Villanova. Solo Ball's having a good season, almost 15 points per game, shooting 45% from the field. Very little wrong with that. This is a good offensive team, 84th in the nation. The defensive numbers are respectable. Their rebounding numbers Also not something to write home about, but this team really moves the ball well on offense, guys. They're actually 8th in the nation, averaging 18.1 assists per game. So some positives to look at there for sure for UConn. The odds makers love the Huskies here. They're 8.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 139.5. Villanova 2-6 against spread on the road, 16-9-1 to the over. UConn 4-7-1 against spread at home, 13-11-1 to the over as well. In terms of the total here, guys, I mean, 139.5, I could wrap my head around that. I could take an over there. That's not a problem for me, but I really think you want to be on UConn to get the, pretty much the double-digit win in this game. I think, being in a huge bounce-back spot, we're going to see a maximum effort game from them. They really, losing to Seton Hall, guys, that is not supposed to be happening. So I think we'll see them bounce back big time here, and, they're in a revenge spot against a team that beat them earlier in the season. So this is definitely a game where I'm penciling in UConn to get a comfortable win and cover. Next up, guys, we're headed out to the MAC. We've got Miami, Ohio, going on the road to take on Eastern Michigan. The Redhawks come into this game 19-6 on the year. They are cruising. They're fresh off a tough loss, though, guys. They lost to WMU, not a team they're supposed to be losing games to. It was on the road. They did lose by 8, though, so kind of a, I'm not going to say a convincing loss, but definitely a loss there that they would not have expected to take. I mean, over the course of the season, this has been a very good team. 81.4 points per game. That's 32nd in the nation. Cam Kraft leading the way with 14.3 per game. Nothing crazy there, but I don't know. I mean, Peter Suter might be the better player. I mean, almost 4 assists per game, shooting 50% from the field and averaging 14 points. We really like this team in general, guys. I mean, right now they're currently, second, but 2 games back in the MAC there against Akron. So we'll see what they can do the rest of the way. They're not a great rebounding team, but the defensive numbers are fine, and those offensive numbers are very, very good. The last time they played against EMU, guys, against Eastern Michigan here, they had a 9-point win at home. Now they got to go on the road, which, can be obviously quite a bit tougher. So we'll see if they can get the job done here. I mean, Eastern Michigan, the Eagles come into this game only 12-13 on the season. They're fresh off a big 80-73 win against Toledo, a team way, way above them in the conference standings there. So a big, big win for them, no doubt about it. They've got a good leading scorer there in Jalen Terry. I mean, 16 points per game doesn't grow on trees, so congratulations to him, but the offensive numbers not really on the same level there as Miami of Ohio. I mean, 73.1 points per game, okay, but they're 378th in the nation rebounding. That's a problem. Their defense gives up over 77 points per game. That's a problem. They don't have great ball movement on offense, so just a lot of problems here for the Eagles. I mean, they've done some good things. Obviously, they're coming off a big, big game. We see Terry putting up 38 points in that win, so is he in for a letdown? Guys, I'm kind of thinking so. We see Eastern Michigan here. They're getting 4.5 points at home. We've got a total of 151.5. Miami of Ohio, 5-5 against spread on the road, 15-8 to the over. Eastern Michigan, 5-5 against spread at home, 15-9 to the over. So is this a spot we want to look at the over potentially? I mean, I could wrap my head around it. I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite plays. We did see 169 total points scored, the first time these two teams matched up. So I could get on board with over in this game for sure, but I really, really like Miami, Ohio to win and cover in this one. I mean, they only got to win by 5. I think they do that comfortably here. They're in a huge bounce back spot against a team they beat already this season, and it's just like that, guys. Eastern Michigan in a huge letdown spot after that win against Toledo. So definitely give me Miami of Ohio in this one. This game has a chance to be one of my big bet plays. Rolling right along through a very respectable slate, guys. We've got Oklahoma going on the road to take on number 2 Florida out there in the SEC. The Sooners come into this game 16-9 on the year, but they're riding a 4-game losing streak. They just lost a 3-point game there against LSU. Oklahoma's at home for that one. Definitely a game that would have been hoping they could win against, one of the other bottom dwellers there in the SEC, but they couldn't quite get the job done in that one. So a 3-point loss has to feel kind of brutal. I mean, yeah, we saw Carter score 7 of his career high 29 points in the last 20 seconds to get, LSU the win there. They just did not have any answers. And this Oklahoma team, guys, I don't know, they're good offensively, but the rebounding is just so bad. Jalen Moore, awesome. Seeing somebody put up 17 points per game, shoot 50% from the field, that's great. That's fantastic. But you're 370th in the nation in rebounding. That's not going to cut it. You're also not a very good defensive team, and you got to finish off those defensive possessions with defensive rebounds anyway. Not something this team's very good at. They got blown out at Mizzou. They got blown out at Auburn, and now they got to go on the road here to take on, a very, very tough Florida team. So things not getting easier here for Oklahoma on the road in this spot. I mean, Florida guys, they are 22-3 on the season. They're cruising. They're fresh off an 80-67, so a 21-point win there against South Carolina, a team that's, obviously below Oklahoma there in the standings, but Still, guys, we're just loving what we're seeing from Walter Clayton Jr. 17.2 points per game, 4.5 assists per game. He's shooting 45% from the field, and he's came back and looked, basically fine after that ankle injury. This team is 14th in the nation in points per game, almost 84 points per contest. They're 4th in rebounding, so they should be able to just crush their opponent on the boards in this one. They're a good assist team, and they play great defense, guys. Giving up 66.5 points per game in the SEC. That is impressive stuff. So looking at the numbers here, Florida definitely deserve to be big favorites, but they're only 15.5 point favorites. We've got a total of 156.5. Oklahoma 2-4 against spread on the road, 14-11 to the over. Florida 9-4 against spread at home, 15-10 to the under. Guys, this is not a look-ahead spot for Florida. They've got LSU on deck, so they're definitely not going to be worried about that. For Oklahoma, we see they've got Mississippi State on deck, so it's a much more look-ahead spot for them, although, they're obviously not looking past the number 2 team in the nation. But regardless, guys, I am taking Florida minus 15.5 in this one. I think they probably win this game by 20+ once again. This squad absolutely cruising. They've got some depth. They're going to have by far the best couple players out on the floor in this game, so give me Florida to get the win and cover here. I think they do so comfortably. Also, they're going to crush on the boards. They're definitely going to crush on the boards. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. This is a great time to sign up for StompTheSpread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our top confidence plays on all the major sports. We're currently covering NCAA basketball, the NBA, NHL, UFC, and the NFL. We have a team of professional cappers that work extremely hard putting in the research on these games every day so you don't have to. We make things very easy for you with pick notifications directly to your phone and unit sizes assigned to each play so you can see where our confidence level is on every individual matchup. To test out the service before you buy, join our free email list, get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Just click the link in the description to sign up for a free account. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Now, guys, back to the games. Next up, guys, we've got another monster showdown out there in the SEC. We've got the number 7 Texas A&M Aggies going on the road to take on the number 21 Mississippi State Bulldogs. Texas A&M 20-5 on the season. They're fresh off a 8-point kind of competitive win there against an Arkansas team that you wouldn't expect them to have too much trouble with, but Arkansas has done some stuff this year. But regardless, it's a win there, so they'll definitely take it. They beat Georgia the game before that, so now the look ahead spots are over. The real main event is here. Taking on a Mississippi State team is no joke. They haven't played them yet this season, so we'll see how things go there. We're loving what we see from Wade Taylor IV right now. 15 points, 5 assists per game. Just very good. This is a deep team. This team can really, they're a good team, guys. They're 8th in the nation rebounding, which is just a crazy number. We saw what was it? Oh, a whole bunch of points. 11, 17, 21, 25 points off the bench there for Texas A&M against Arkansas. They only shot 30% from 3 in that game, still won by 8. I expect them to shoot the ball much better than this one. Texas A&M, a monster of a team. Like I said, amazing on the boards, very good defense. The offensive numbers aren't cartoonish, but they're also very solid. So we'll see what they do on the road here against the Mississippi State Bulldogs, who come to this game 18-7 on the season. They're fresh off a nice win there at Ole Miss. Thank you, Mississippi State. By the way, we had them plus 4.5, and they came through for us on our undefeated Saturday last week. But the 81-71 win there, a nice bounce back after a pretty poor showing against Florida. But now they've got another tough one coming up, guys. Texas A&M, no joke. We're going to see the Bulldogs are going to need a big night from Josh Hubbard. 17 points per game, though, 40% from the field. Nothing wrong with that. This is a very good offensive team. The rebounding numbers are good, not the same level as Texas A&M, so it's going to be quite a battle there on the boards. The defensive numbers are also good, not quite as good as Texas A&M, so we'll see what kind of home court advantage the Bulldogs can get here. It's going to be pretty important. They're 2.5-point favorites at home, which is a little bit surprising. We've got a total of 143.5. Texas A&M, they're only 3-1 against spread on the road. They are 17-8 to the under, which is that's a pretty big trend there. Mississippi State 4-8 against spread at home, not great, guys. They're 14-11 to the over. This is another spot I think is very good. I think we're going to take number 7 Texas A&M on the road, getting 2.5 points in this matchup. I just think they're the better team by a significant margin. Mississippi State, not slouches, guys. This is not a bad team. I'm not saying they're not good, but they're just not on the same level right now as Texas A&M. And when the better team is getting points, even if it's a road spot, I think we just have to side here with the Aggies and hope that they are not overwhelmed, by the moment of playing on the road. But this is a team that, has done so well on the road this season. I just don't expect them to blink here. They've beaten teams like Mizzou on the road. They beat who else on the road? They beat Ole Miss on the road. That's a pretty good win. They beat Oklahoma on the road. I don't think they're going to be too freaked out by this road spot. Next on the docket, guys, we're headed over to the Big Ten. We've got number 13 Purdue going on the road to take on number 14 Michigan State. The Boilermakers come into this game fresh off a tough 94-84 loss against Wisconsin. They've actually dropped 2 in a row now. They lost that heartbreaker 2-point game at Michigan. Now they lost against Wisconsin. It doesn't get any easier here now having to go on the road to take on Michigan State. In that loss against Wisconsin, guys, I mean, a high-scoring game, no doubt about it. They couldn't defend the three-point line. Purdue shot the lights out, though, shot 45.5% from three. They, shot the ball relatively well from the free throw line. They actually had a slight rebounding edge and still find a way to lose this game down the stretch. The defense just wasn't there. Wisconsin shot 61.5% from the field in general against Purdue. It's not going to work, guys. You're going to have to play better defense than that. If you don't, things are just not going to work out for you. So we'll see how it goes, see if they can pick up that defensive pressure a little bit in this one. This has not been a great defensive team over the course of the season. They've been fine, don't get me wrong, but those rebounding numbers are certainly a concern in basically any matchup, guys. They were 351st in the nation in rebounding. That's not great. Obviously, all the other numbers look very, very good. Great ball movement. I mean, Trey Kaufman-Renn, a monster. Braden Smith, an absolute monster. So we like what we've seen from this team overall this season, but lately, the issues have started to crop up. So we'll see if they can solve those issues on the road in this one, going up against a Michigan State Spartans team that's 20-5 on the year, 14th in the nation. They're fresh off of a nice road win at Illinois, winning that game 79-65. So a pretty dominant showing in that one. They lost against Indiana the game before that, so it was a bounce back spot, and they've been a little bit off their game as of late. So this is a big spot for them to show they are back on the horse, show that they are back playing well. Tom Izzo getting that record-breaking win, passing Bobby Knight. That's cool. That's very, very cool. This team, guys, very good season-long average. They are numbers. They are an absolutely elite rebounding team, 17th in the nation. Their scoring numbers very, very good as well. They move the ball really well. I mean, Jeremy Fears Jr., a monster point guard, 6 assists per game. That is absolutely great stuff. So you'll love to see that. Honestly, everything looks really, really good here for Michigan State, and they're playing at home in this game, and that's why they are 3.5-point favorites. We've got a total here of 148.5. Purdue 6-2 against spread on the road, so a very good road team. They are 16-10 to the over. Michigan State 8-5 against spread at home. They are 16-9 to the under. I'm not interested in the over/under in this game, guys, but I'm very interested in Michigan State. A lot of games I really like here in the early goings. We'll see which ones end up in the pinned comment, but right now, guys, I definitely think Michigan State is the way to go. I think they're going to dominate this game on the glass, and going up against a very good team, this is a chance for them to prove they've got what it takes. I mean, they do have a bunch of really tough opponents coming up, no doubt about that, but we see Michigan, they've got Michigan State's got tough opponents coming up, and maybe a little bit easier road there for Purdue, but I'm not going to let that scare me off. Give me Michigan State -3.5 in this game. Next up, guys, we're headed to the ACC. We've got Syracuse going on the road to take on Pittsburgh. The Orange not having the best season, guys. They are 11-15 on the year, so not exactly killing it. They're fresh off of a competitive game. They lost against North Carolina by only 6, so they kept things close, but it's not like North Carolina is the toughest team at the moment. This squad, guys, I mean, Syracuse only 5-10 in conference play, and the ACC not really looking like the hottest conference, but they've done some positive things. They're a very good rebounding team. They play a little bit of offense. They're a decent offensive team. The defense, certainly a concern, no doubt about that. And it's definitely a concern in this game. But they have played Pitt already this season. They ended up losing that game 77-73. That one was a home game for Syracuse, and they played pretty well. I mean, they shot the ball okay, nothing too spectacular. They did a great job on the boards. That's a big reason this game was close. I mean, Eddie Lampkin Jr. put up 23 boards in the loss, and that's why this game was so close. Pittsburgh didn't do anything terrifyingly different. They actually shot a lot more free throws than Syracuse in that game. That's a big reason that we saw Pittsburgh come away with the win. So we'll see what the Panthers can do in this one. They come into this game 15-10 on the season. They're fresh off a win against Miami, but everybody beats Miami right now, so that's not too special. They lost, 4 in a row before that. A close game against UNC mixed in there. They got blown out at SMU, so we'll see what they can do here against Syracuse. I mean, Jalon Lowe is a monster, leading this team with 16.5 points, 5.5 assists per game. That's very, very good, but this squad, guys, they cannot rebound. They're 309th in the nation in rebounding. That's not going to work. They're a decent defensive team. They put up some points offensively. All that's good, but you got to rebound the ball a little bit better if you're trying to, bury these teams. And right now, guys, we see Pittsburgh, they are 10.5-point favorites in this game. We've got a total of 146.5. Syracuse, 5-3 against spread on the road, 13-12-1 to the under. Pittsburgh, they are 8-6 against spread at home, so not terrible. They are 11-11-3 to the over-under. guys, we're taking Syracuse to run it back and keep this game very competitive. They've just got to keep it to single digits. I know it's on the road, but Syracuse has been fine on the road this season. They're going to dominate the glass in this game, and I don't know if that's going to be enough for them to have a chance to straight up win this. Although, I wouldn't fault you too much for sprinkling the money line if you really wanted a major gamble, but I think Syracuse and the points in this game is a fantastic play to add into any bet you were looking to make. Next on the dock, we're headed to the A10. We're looking at Loyola Chicago going on the road to take on Davidson. The Ramblers 16-9 on the season, so not having a terrible time, but also they're in fourth place out there in the conference, so not killing it. They are fresh off a nice win against SLU, so they'll take that for sure. But yeah, they've won 2 out of their last 3. A loss at Duquesne, not really a game you're supposed to be losing. This team doesn't have the firepower we've seen from them in seasons past. I mean, Jaden Dawson leading the way with 13 points per game. Not going to freak out about that too much. They're not a great offensive team. They're okay. They're a terrible rebounding team. The defense is okay. The defense is definitely fine, but I wouldn't put it in the super elite category. So we'll see what they can do here against a Davidson team that they've still got 2 games against Davidson looming there on the schedule. And the Wildcats haven't had a great time this year. They're actually only 5-7 in conference play. They come into this one fresh off of a very competitive loss there against George Washington. Not necessarily a team that you should be playing insanely close games against if you're going to be good, but they've kept things close against teams like Dayton this year. They did lose, but they kept it competitive. They've kept, a lot of games competitive, to be honest. I've kind of liked what we've seen from the Wildcats. I mean, Reed Bailey, a monster, 20 points per game, 4 assists per game, shooting 50% from the field. That is pretty hard to do, but Davidson, a very weak rebounding team. The defensive numbers aren't really there. Their, assist numbers are good. Their offense numbers are kind of okay, but I have a little bit of a hard time seeing, this team probably competing with the squads at the top of the standings, like George Mason, VCU, Dayton even. But, Loyola Chicago, they're kind of back there with the pack. So we'll see what happens in this one. We've got Davidson here at actually -1.5. So they're favorites here at home. We've got a total of 140.5. Loyola Chicago, 5-2 against spread on the road. So a good road team. They're 12-11-1 to the under. Davidson 7-6 against spread at home, 12-12 to the over/under. This is a tough spot, guys. I don't have the biggest of leans in this one. I'm going to be taking Loyola Chicago here on the road since they've been so good on the road this season, but Davidson's done some interesting stuff. I don't think it's impossible that they pull off that upset. Next up, we're looking at the MAC, guys. We've got Northern Illinois going on the road to take on Akron. Northern Illinois comes into this game only 5-20 on the season, so they're not exactly having a dream year. They're fresh off a 6-point loss there against Ball State, and it was an overtime loss, but I guess at least they forced overtime. But you're really grasping for straws if you're looking for positives for this team. Quentin Jones, 16.5 points per game. Cool, but you're only shooting 46% from the field. That's fine. That's not necessarily amazing, but you're not doing it on an elite team either. The rebounding numbers are atrocious, and their defense is very, very weak, which not a great sign when you're about to take on the Akron Zips, guys. They're 20-5 on the season. They're 12-0 in conference play out there in the MAC. They're fresh off a 3-point win there over CMU. So that was a little bit of a scare there for sure. So we'll see if they can right the ship here against a team they beat by only 10 earlier in the season. This is a home game for Akron. I mean, they come into this game 8th in the nation in points per game. Crazy work there. A great assist team. Their ball movement is fantastic. This is a team that actually plays some defense, which is impressive given that they play at such a high pace. Their rebounding numbers are also fantastic, which those are also influenced by pace of play. So got to give Akron some credit here, and we have to consider the fact they're coming off of a scare. So we'll see what they do in this one. Nate Johnson leading the way for them, but this is a team that really just does offense by committee. The Zips, massive favorites, 20.5-point favorites in this game. We've got a total of 158.5. Northern Illinois, actually 6-7 against spread on the road. They're 13-8-1 to the under. Akron 6-5 against spread at home, 15-7-1 to the over. This is another tough one, guys. I think it's too many points, so give me Northern Illinois here as a small lean, but this is not a game that's going anywhere near that pinned comment. Rolling right along here, guys, we're looking at the Colorado Buffaloes. They're going on the road to take on Iowa State. Colorado 10-15 on the season. They're still. I mean, they got to win. They finally got to win. They're coming off a win, so it's a letdown spot. Their first letdown spot, it feels like, of the whole season. They got the 76-63 win there over UCF. So another team that's struggled pretty mightily out there in the Big 12. But hey, the Buffaloes desperately in need of a win. They finally get that conference win. This is not a team that's put up great numbers over the course of the season. They're not atrocious, but they're not great. I mean, 250th in the nation rebounding, that's not great. Their points per game, obviously pretty bad, around 300th in the nation. This team does not have a lot of star power, not a lot of big-time leading scorers. So, yeah, they're going to be happy anytime they can keep themselves in a game, and they have to be very, very pumped about coming off a win. Now they're going to take on a team that they actually played kind of close earlier than in the season. I mean, only losing by 10 there against Iowa State. This was a kind of different Buffalo's team at that point in the year, though. So we'll see what they can do on the road in this spot. I mean, the Cyclones come into this game 20-5 on the season, obviously ranked 8th in the nation. They're fresh off an 11-point win there against Cincinnati. They've won their last 3 in a row after, losing 3 in a row. So definitely a team that, needs to keep on rolling here, but they're in a little bit of a letdown spot, guys. They're about to have to go to Houston after this game and play against number 5 Houston. So that could be a little bit of a tall task. We like what we see from Iowa State, though. I mean, Curtis Jones, 17.6 points per game. Keyshawn Gilbert shooting 50% from the field, also dishing out 4.5 assists per game and scoring 14 points. So, yeah, very good stuff there. This is one of the best offensive teams in the nation, averaging over 80 per game. The defense is really where they hang their hat, though. The Cyclones giving up 67 points per game. Very, very dominant stuff. I mean, they held UCF to only 65 and TCU to only 52 only a couple games ago. So we like Iowa State in a lot of spots, but in this one, guys, they are 17.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 141.5. Colorado 2-5 against spread on the road, 13-10-2 to the under. Iowa State 8-6 against spread at home. They are 14-11 to the under themselves. Maybe this is an underspot. Maybe it could be an underspot, but I really think, Colorado, I know they're in a letdown spot after that big win. I mean, big for them, but 17.5 feels like too many points here for this Iowa State team in a huge look-ahead spot. I think they win this game, but I think they win it by around 10, maybe 12 points, and that's enough there for Colorado to get us the cover. So give me the Buffaloes on this one in a game that I definitely think has some value, but probably isn't going to go in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Texas Tech Red Raiders going on the road to take on the TCU Horned Frogs out there in some Big 12 play. Texas Tech 9th in the nation right now, 20-5 on the season, fresh off of a absolute blowout demolition there at Oklahoma State. They won that game 93-55. No letdown there for them after scoring over 100 points. They scored 111 against Arizona State in a crazy, crazy game. But yeah, just continuing to shoot the ball really, really well against Oklahoma State. And now they get to take on TCU. We like this team a lot. I mean, JT Toppin, a monster, 17.2 points per game, shooting nearly 60% from the field. Elijah Hawkins, 6.5 assists per game. The Red Raiders, guys, they're 22nd in the nation in points per game, 82.4 points per game. Crazy, crazy work there on offense. Their assist numbers, no shocker there, are very, very good. The rebounding numbers also solid. Maybe not excellent, but I'll give them at least solid here. So this team comes into this game absolutely cruising. They're second, 2 games back there in the Big 12 of Houston. So they got to be feeling very good about how things are going. They don't have a look-ahead spot here. They play TCU, then they play West Virginia, then they have a look-ahead spot because the game after that is against Houston. But we'll see what they can do here on the road. Obviously not taking on the toughest opponent in the TCU Horned Frogs, but TCU's been doing some positive things lately. They're only 14-11 on the season, but they are 7-7 out there in the Big 12. They won their last 2 in a row, taking down Oklahoma State and Arizona State. They, weren't able to stay attached there against Iowa State. Don't get me wrong. They have already lost once in this matchup against Texas Tech, losing 71-56 at Texas Tech. So they'll be hoping they can, keep things rolling here. I mean, they've been playing okay. Their offensive numbers looking much better than their season averages. Their rebounding numbers, against Texas Tech, the last time these two teams faced each other, like I said, a 71-57 win there for Texas Tech. TCU, they kept things even on the boards. Texas Tech just too good there offensively. TCU didn't shoot the ball particularly well. The free throw numbers were even, but we saw TCU only make 54% of their free throws. That's not generally going to look great, at least. So looking at the numbers for this one, Texas Tech 8.5-point favorites on the road here. So TCU getting 8.5 at home. We've got a total of 140.5. Texas Tech, they're 5-2 against spread on the road. That's very respectable against the spread on the road, especially in college. They're a slight over team. TCU 6-8 against spread at home, and they are a significant under team. They're 17-8 to the under. So they're going to want to slow it down, but I don't think Texas Tech's really going to let them, guys. Give me Texas Tech here at -8.5. I think this is another very, very solid play out there. A lot of games that I like, which can be a little bit scary, but hey, maybe we pump it out. Maybe we put 5 games in the pin count. We'll see if that actually happens, but I do think this is a very good spot to be taking Texas Tech, despite the fact they're on the road. Rolling right along here, guys, we're looking at the Butler Bulldogs going on the road to take on the Xavier Musketeers. Butler comes into this game, guys, 12-13 on the season, but they're winners of 3 in a row, taking down, Seton Hall, Providence, and Georgetown. So Yeah, they're fighting their way around there in the bottom of the standings there in the Big East. Not necessarily a scary team, but they've got some pieces. I mean, Telforth, 16 points, 4 assists per game. That's respectable for sure, but they're not a very good rebounding team. The defensive numbers aren't fantastic. They're taking on a tough Xavier team here, so we'll see what they can do in their win against Georgetown. They did put up 97 points, which is pretty impressive. You don't see that every day. They shot the ball extremely well, 9 of 20 from 3, 80% from the free throw line. They shot, way more than double the free throws of their opponent in that game, so that's pretty wild. They were definitely getting a very, very charitable whistle there in that one, but we'll see if they can carry any of that over here as they go on the road to take on the Xavier Musketeers, who are 16-10 on the year. They've won their last 2 in a row, taking down Providence and DePaul. They beat Georgetown also. Going up against Butler here for them, I wonder how that actually feels. I mean, Butler pretty low in the standings, but not drastically below them. So we'll see what they do. I mean, Zach Fremantle, a monster, 17 points per game. This team, not necessarily amazing on the boards. Definitely can't give them amazing, but they are certainly, in the same range there, I would say, as a team like Butler. Their defense, not great, but the offense numbers are very, very good, and they can definitely score it here. And they've been playing decent, so looking at the numbers here, I'm not surprised to see Xavier as 6.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 152.5. Butler, they are 4-2-1 against spread on the road, so a respectable road team. They're 15-9-1 to the over. Xavier, 8-6 against spread at home. 14-12 to the under. This feels like kind of a close spot to me, guys. I'm going to be leaning a bit here towards Xavier. I think Butler's in for a letdown after winning 3 in a row. Xavier is actually, like a decent team, and they've got a chance to kind of run things out here and end up with a pretty good conference record, and then maybe make a run in the conference tournament. So yeah, this is an interesting team, but I don't think Butler's really going anywhere. Give me Xavier in this one at -6.5. Headed back to the Big Ten for this one, guys. We're looking at Illinois going on the road to take on number 11 Wisconsin. The Fighting Illini come into this game 17-9 on the season. They're fresh off of a very, very poor performance there against Michigan State. There's also that a couple days ago, that weird jersey mistake there for that's not a good look there for Shannon, guys. I feel bad for him. That's rough, but what are you gonna do? We'll see what they can do here against Wisconsin. That's not the easiest opponent, that's for sure. In their loss there against Michigan State, there was definitely some problems. The last time they played at Wisconsin, they ended up winning that game 86-80, but that was very, very early in the season. So we'll see what Illinois can do in this one. A 65-79 loss. They got destroyed there in the second half by Michigan State. They went into that game with a lead at halftime, guys. A lead at halftime, and then just couldn't do anything right. They shot the ball very poorly from 3, 7 of 33 from the three-point line for a team that really likes to shoot volume threes. They got beat on the boards. A rough day out there. So definitely a bounce-back spot here for an Illinois team that's done some good stuff this season. They are only 9-7 in conference play, so that at least has to be mentioned, but they're 3rd in the nation in rebounding. They're 11th in the nation in points per game, and they're giving up 71.6 per game. So, yeah, this is not a bad team at all, but neither is Wisconsin, guys. They are legit. They are 20-5 on the season. They're fresh off a big 10-point win there at Purdue. They had a 2-game road trip, which, could have been a little bit tricky, but they get the 11-point win at Iowa and the 10-point win there at number 7 Purdue. So now they just got to try and take care of business against Illinois. They only have one really tough opponent left, and that's going on the road to take on Michigan State. Right now, Wisconsin 10-4 in conference play. This team can score, guys. I mean, they're 30th in the nation, putting up over 80 points per game. The rebounding numbers are a concern, especially in this matchup, but defensively, they're very, very good. And the last time these two teams faced each other, I mean, it was so long ago. We did see Illinois win that game. What was the date on that game? Yeah, back on December 10th. So, yeah, I don't know how much we can exactly draw from this. We did see Illinois really kind of win this game there on the board. So they're going to be hoping to do that again, but it's going to be tougher this time, guys. It's definitely going to be tougher. Wisconsin, 4.5-point favorites here. We've got a total of 160.5. Illinois, 3-5 against spread on the road, 15-11 to the over. Wisconsin, 7-6 against spread at home, 15-10 to the over as well. So the side in this one, guys, feels very sketchy to me. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I can take Illinois here on the road. I'm going to have to go with Wisconsin at -4.5, but I don't love that. I kind of like the over in this game also, but I don't know if I can really get behind that either because, man, 160.5 points, there's a lot of points in a college basketball game. So probably a stay away spot for me, but a very exciting game nonetheless. Next up, guys, we got number 5 Houston going on the road to take on Arizona State out there in the Big 12. Houston comes into this game fresh off of a 4-point win and a dogfight there at number 13 Arizona. They come away with the win, but it was a close one for sure. I mean, The Cougars have won 4 in a row, taking down Oklahoma State, Colorado, Baylor, and Arizona. Now they got to take care of business against Arizona State before taking on Iowa State, Texas Tech. So yeah, they've got some big opponents there on deck. This Houston team obviously suffocating on defense, giving up 57.3 points per game. Dominant stuff. Their offensive numbers are also, better than you would think for such a defensive-minded team against a team like Arizona State. We'll see what they can do here. I mean, the Sun Devils come into this game 12-13 on the season. They've lost, 5 in a row. So they're having a rough time, unable to, take care of business there against TCU. They pushed Texas Tech to the brink there at Texas Tech. So that's pretty impressive, but yeah, not able to win against Arizona. Like, this team's done some good stuff, but this is a tough matchup. BJ Freeman, 13.5 points per game. That's not exactly a stellar leading score. Their defensive numbers are a concern. Their rebounding is a bit of a concern. Their offensive numbers are fine though, and they're getting 11.5 points at home here. We've got a total of 133.5. Houston 5-2 against spread on the road though, 13-11-1 to the under. Arizona State 4-7 against the spread at home. They are 13-12 to the under. Yeah, it's not like it's a big look-ahead spot for Arizona State. I do worry about the look-ahead issues there for Houston, and Arizona State getting an 11.5 here. I don't know. The numbers kind of tell me to lean towards Arizona State in the points, but my heart kind of tells me that Houston's going to dominate in this game. But it's a big look-ahead spot. Give me a very, very small taste of Arizona State plus 11.5, but this is mostly a stay-away spot for me. Rolling right along, guys, we're looking at number 23 Kansas going on the road to take on BYU out there in the Big 12. Kansas comes in this game 17-8 on the season, fresh off a loss there at Utah, a 74-67 loss. So not the best look. They've been alternating wins and losses. They haven't had a great time this season. I mean, they're currently about midway down the standings, 8-6 in conference play. Like, this is not the dominant team we were projected to see coming into this season. The rebounding numbers are good. The defensive numbers look fine, whatever. But at Utah, guys, it did not look good. They, kept things about even, and then, didn't look great in the second half. They shot the ball well from 3, like almost 40% on 24 attempts, but just not enough. They, didn't shoot as many free throws, I'll give them that, but they made almost more of them, and they got destroyed on the boards in this game. They didn't have a lot of defensive answers out there, and yeah, I don't know. Kansas just not looking as good as, we would expect this a historically good program to look. So we'll see what they get done in this one. They're taking on BYU, and going on the road to take on the Mormons can be a little bit scary. BYU 17-8 on the season. They're fresh off a win against a very tough-looking Kansas State team. They beat West Virginia at West Virginia, so that's a good win as well. Taking on Kansas, though, guys, can be a little bit tough, but they get to do this one at home, and that is a big deal, guys. I mean, yeah, BYU, 55th in the nation in points per game, very respectable. A good rebounding team, which can be a problem there for Kansas. They're also a good defensive team. They've got a monster there in Richie Saunders, but this is a team that can really come at you in waves, and they can shoot the ball really well, which could definitely be a problem in this matchup for Kansas. And that's why the Cougars, guys, BYU, they're 2.5-point favorites in this one. We've got a total of 148.5. Kansas only 3-6 against spread on the road. They are 19-6 to the under. That's an NCAA best mark to the under. BYU 9-5 against spread at home, 13-12 to the over. So yeah, I would lean maybe slightly towards the under in this game. Probably not enough to put it in the pinned comment, but definitely worth a look since it's a Kansas game and the Kansas games go under. But I think you want to be on BYU at -2.5 in this one. I think it's a very good spot for them at home. This Kansas team not very good. I think we see BYU probably handle this one fairly comfortably as the Jayhawks continue to slide. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we're looking at South Carolina going on the road to take on LSU. South Carolina comes in this game only 10-15 on the season. They're 0-12 in conference play. So yeah, you would think at some point they're going to get a conference win, but it has been pretty brutal. They're fresh off of a 21-point loss there at Florida. Not a lot of reason to be embarrassed about that one. They kept things close against Ole Miss. They kept things very close there against Texas A&M. So we'll see if they're able to right the ship here. I mean, this team has some players on it. They've put up some decent numbers over the course of the season. Not terrible. This is one of the, I would say better teams still looking for their first conference win that exist in the NCAA. So we'll see what they're able to do in this one. They're going on the road to take on an LSU team that's only 13-12 on the season. They're only 2-10 in conference play out there in the SEC. They are fresh off a big 3-point win there at Oklahoma. Now they're back home. What are they going to do in this one, guys? It seems a bit sketchy to me. I mean, LSU, they're 2.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 139.5. South Carolina, only 2-6 against spread on the road. They're 15-10 to the under. LSU, 7-7 against spread at home, 13-12 to the under themselves. I'm going to side with South Carolina here just slightly. I think they're due to get, some sort of win here, but this is the due factor and also a letdown spot for LSU. So we'll see what happens in this one, but I'm not going anywhere near it. Last but not least, guys, we've got one of the later games on the docket. We've got Minnesota going on the road to take on the UCLA Bruins. Minnesota comes in this game 13-12 on the season, fresh off a nice 69-66 win there, a 3-point win at USC. Now, they stay out there on the West Coast to take on UCLA. We'll see what they can do. This team's been interesting this season. Not very good, only 5-9 in conference play. Their offensive numbers are atrocious, 318th in the nation in points per game. Not a great defensive team either. They haven't really, beaten anybody amazing. They beat Oregon earlier this season. They beat Michigan. So they've got some decent wins on there, but I'm not about to overreact to those wins much earlier in the season. They're going on the road to take on a very determined UCLA Bruins team that comes into this one fresh off a nice road win there at Indiana. So that's a good look. The Bruins over the course of the season have some big wins on the record. They're 10-5 there in conference play in the Big Ten. So that's nice. They've got a decent leading scorer. They've got, pretty good offensive numbers, decent defensive numbers, but their problem tends to be rebounding, although I wouldn't say they're a terrible rebounding team either. So we'll see what they can do here against a Minnesota team that has been great. They're big favorites. They're 13.5 point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 129.5. Minnesota 4-3 against spread on the road, 13-12 to the under. UCLA 9-4-1 against the spread at home, 15-11 to the under themselves. I'm probably not taking under 129.5. That's just not enough points, but I will side slightly here towards Minnesota getting 13.5. I mean, they're already out there on the West Coast. They're coming off a win. I don't necessarily think they're going to win this game, don't get me wrong, but I think they could probably keep this one to single digits against a UCLA team that's, probably not going to be putting them away insanely unless, we see UCLA really get the benefit of the whistle and really get allowed to play some very physical defense. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets. If we get to 1,000 likes, we're giving away another hoodie. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Once we get to 50,000 subscribers, we're giving away another hoodie. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com. We're going to be doing the giveaway, posting who won the giveaway tomorrow in tomorrow's video. So come back for that, and we will see you guys tomorrow in that video for more sports betting action.